2003 Portland Trailblazers against the Dallas Mavericks. So let's get Vince Carter back in here. I do think that a comeback here is more probable than other situations where teams have been down 0-3. First of all, they're not down 0-3 anymore. You have to reset it. This is no longer can they come back down 0-3. Now it's can they come back down 3-1, and that has been done before. They're a higher seed for a reason. They were better in the regular season. They have shown the ability to explode when their backs are against the wall. Look at Jason Tatum in Game 6 against the Sixers, and then all of Game 7, 51 points. And they're playing at home right now. Guys, I get it. And then Gabe Vincent, that's a big shot for them. Vince, you heard what Greeny said. Are you buying a comeback here?
I'm not buying it. Now, once I will say this, I've been in a situation where I was down 0-3 in 2010 to the Boston Celtics and Big Perk, and we were able to win 2 games, and we were closed.
Ahead of tonight's Game 5. Nick, how is Miami's mood after dropping a game at home? Now they have to make the trip up north with a chance to close it out.
Max, they're feeling great, and the reason why they're still feeling so confident is because they have Kyle Lowry. Now, Eric Spoelstra did not want to lean into who would be starting yet, but he said that there's going to be no limit on Lowry, who is dealing with a couple different injuries during the last part of the regular season, but he's really given a boost to the second group. And the Heat believe that he's a Hall of Famer who's been in every big spot that's possible within the game over the last 10 to 12 years in his career. So they think he is perfect for this moment in time. The Heat know that what they're going to get from Jimmy Butler. They know what they're going to get from Bam Adebayo, but they need Lowry to be the stabilizer for a group that was really reliant on Vincent at times offensively earlier in this series.
Seems like the Celtics figured out Adebayo a little bit, at least to nullify his offense. It was his first subpar offensive game. We'll see if that continues. I don't know if we know what we're going to get from Bam. We'll see. This just insane. Listen to what Greeny says is going to happen in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Teams in NBA history that have faced 3-0 deficits are 0-150, right, McNutt? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what Greeny says? Change the graphic. Woo! This thing is going to be 1-150. I'm on record, and I'm doubling down.
Greeny's logic, but I just want to push back against that for a second. Let's say the Heat or the Celtics are 60% likely to win any game. It's a 60-40 type of situation. Well, 60 times 60 is 36. They're only 36% likely to win 2 games in a row. Times 60, they're 22% likely, a little less, to win 3 in a row. Even say if it's 70-30, right? It's better than 2-1 the Celtics are going to win. That's still under 50%, 49% to win even 2 games in a row. So even according to Greeny's logic, which I understand and I appreciate, the Celtics are much more live than they ought to be right now. But to actually pull it off, at best, that's a 5-1 shot or something like that, even if you really favor them in each game. Coming up, Lamar Jackson is headed for his best season to Boston tonight for Game 5 with the Heat leading 3-1, of course. Miami's Gabe Vincent, this is big news, has been ruled out with a sprained left ankle. He's been averaging 17.5 points a game in the series. Celtics are 8-point favorites. If the Celtics are to force Game 6 back in Miami, they'll have to defend home first. Boston is just 10-11 at the...
They had 15 turnovers. That's not them. And I just think their defense will be better. I think Jimmy Butler is going to be special. And we've yet to see a Kyle Lowry game. And I'm not talking about 25, 30 points, but where he just puts his imprint on the game on both sides of the ball. He understands how important he is to this team in this game because of what you just said. Gabe Vincent, who has been spectacular, averaging 17.5 points in this series, will be missed. So they're going to have to find a shot of life in scoring from someone. Why not Kyle Lowry?
Nick, you heard what Vince Carter had to say. I'll just mention that Jason Tatum, with his back against the wall in these playoffs, has played extraordinarily well. Yeah. And in order for the Heat to win, it seems to me Jimmy Butler must be the best player on the floor. And if Tatum's playing like he looks like he's trending, that's hard to do. Where are you with this, Nick?
Max, what has defined this Heat run throughout the postseason? Mental toughness. This group believes that it will find a way no matter who's out there on the floor. And the key for Miami is not only are they really confident in Jimmy, but they believe whoever they put in place will be able to do the job they need that night. So I still find it hard to believe that a Miami team that has rolled through the postseason is going to suddenly drop 4 straight. But I would tell you this, if there is that team to do it, the Celtics have a roster capable of making it happen. So I expect to go back.
Vince Carter, Brian Windhorst are here to discuss. Guys, I can see why the Celtics would be favored tonight, especially with the Gabe Vincent injury. He's really the second most reliable scorer in my mind. He's at least like it, maybe an Austin Reeves plus for this team, right? I think Jimmy Butler will do everything he possibly can, but without Gabe Vincent on the road to a team that's starting to feel themselves, I like Boston's chances. Vince, what do you think?
What about Bam Adebayo?
Yeah, and he's played very well until the last game.
What about Duncan Robinson? Yeah,
Shoot.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like they still have he can shoot. And then what about adding Kyle Lowry, a champion, a winner, a guy who was your starting point guard at the beginning of the season, who now he has a good game in him. He really hasn't had one of those signature Kyle Lowry games, and it might on the defensive end, taking charges, getting his hands on loose balls, and offensively knocking down shots. And his basketball IQ is just next level. So they're going to challenge the Celtics in their defense, because defensively, the Miami Heat were able to get into the Celtics paint at will, led by Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson was one of the guys getting into the paint, lobs, layups, open threes. So if the Boston Celtics don't figure it out defensively, they won't win this game. And the other thing, Boston cannot turn the ball over. They had 10 turnovers in their wins. Jason Tatum had 5 of those. So if it's a close game, crunch time, like we saw in Game 3, that's going to matter.
And yet it was in the third quarter that Miami started uncharacteristically, weirdly kind of turning the ball over, like they wanted a gentleman's sweep instead of a sweep, and almost felt like. Meantime, Wendy, the Celtics did seem to find something.
The unexpected, because this series is absolutely, completely non-logical. You're talking about the point spread. The Heat have won straight up when they've been the underdog 8 times in this postseason. That's already the second most in a playoffs on record. I mean, right there, that just tells you about what that spread means for tonight's game. In this series, we have seen the team that we expect to win pretty much lose every game. And that, potentially comes into this one as well. The Celtics have not been good on their home court, as you mentioned, and they've been awesome when they faced elimination on the road. The last time they faced elimination at home was in the finals, and they played arguably their worst playoff game of last season. So I'm having a very difficult time wrapping my head around what's happening here. When the Celtics seem to play better when they're slightly behind as opposed to when they're slightly ahead. The Heat seem to play better in the postseason than in the regular season. They seem to perform better in close games than when they're lopsided. I don't get it. I wish
nothing would get done. And that's how Jason Tatum feels to me in these playoffs. At the last minute, back against the wall. Where's he been? Oh, my God. And to me, that's the real danger here for the Heat at Boston. Time for a prop quiz on tonight's Eastern Conference Final, Game 4 in Miami. Wendy, Jaylen Brown, 22.5 points. Over or under?
It's got to be over because he's been awful offensively in this series. Only has 3 3-pointers so far. He's a better player than this. Even in Game 4, when they got loose, he still only scored 17. He doesn't go over. I don't think the Celtics can win.
Jimmy Butler, 28.5 points. Over or under, Wendy?
See, this is a good bet if you got it.
The Celtics are going to make history, and they're going to work their way all the way back into this thing, and they're going to win it.
All right. A Celtics comeback to win the series would be unprecedented.